Hello, I'm Alan, and this is Teresa, and welcome to today's edition of Alan's Cycling Adventures. Today is March 5th, and it's time for our metric century for the month of March. Today is triply exciting because not only is it metric century day, we're trying out an entirely new route, and yay! I've got my bike back! So today is actually the maiden voyage of my bike since it's been repaired, and hopefully all will go well. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or ideas for future editions of Alan's Cycling Adventures, be sure to leave them in the comments below. Well, without further ado, let's ride. As I mentioned in the intro, this was an entirely new route for us. We kind of put this plan together at the last minute due to some changes in my weekend schedule, making it make more sense for us to ride from Teresa's house than it did to ride from my house. Now, you may recall in February we did a northerly route from Teresa's house that took us into New York and then back into New Jersey. However, that route was very challenging and included quite a bit of climbing, including one very long, very steep climb on a road called Skyline Drive, which neither one of us really wanted to repeat. We had mapped out a westerly route, which we rejected because it involved riding along Route 46. But we decided maybe we could try that route and see how it turns out. As it turns out, the section of Route 46 that it had us ride along was really not bad. There was a shoulder almost the entire time, and we were able to stay in the shoulder and stay out of the way of cars. What I didn't notice before we left was that it had us riding on Route 15, and I guess I wasn't really familiar with Route 15. I wasn't sure what to expect until we got there and found that Route 15 was a very narrow highway with 2 lanes going each direction with, for the most part, absolutely no shoulder, and cars going past at very high speed. In addition to that, Garmin did a very strange thing to us, and that is, as we were heading north on Route 15, it had us take a jug handle on the right and then loop back around. I thought we were making a left turn, and instead it had us get back onto Route 15, go north for maybe a quarter of a mile at most, at which point we had to get all the way over to the left for a turnaround that was in the center median. You have to understand that Route 15, and you'll see this when we get to that point in the video, but Route 15 is 2 lanes going north and then a wide, grassy, tree-lined median with businesses in the middle of it, in the middle of the highway, and then you cross over to the left lane of the southbound traffic. So it had us make that U-turn, go about a quarter of a mile south, and then make a right turn on the very road that we could have just taken that jug handle and gone across Route 15 at the traffic light. So that was very strange. Another very strange part of the route was at one point we were riding along and it had us make a left turn onto this road that led to gates. It wanted to lead us into a gated community, go partway through the community, make a right turn, and then that road was going to take us back out to the very same road that we had just turned off of to enter the gated community. When we saw the gated community, we turned around, went back to the road, and continued on, because by that point I had seen on the map that we were just going to be joining the same road anyway. In terms of the weather for this ride, it was quite a bit warmer than February's ride, in the sense that it started out in the upper 30s, close to 40 degrees. It warmed to near 50 degrees, maybe even a little bit more, I'm not entirely sure. We did have a strong wind from the north, especially towards the end, and that was very noticeable when we were riding along Route 46 going east. There were a few times when the wind was so strong that I was kind of swerving and felt like if it was any stronger, it might actually blow me over. But it didn't, and we ended up fine. The total length of this ride was 64.59 miles, which comes out to 103.9 kilometers. So it definitely qualifies as a metric century. We did have 3,419 feet of climbing, which is more than we had in January, but less than we had in February. January we had 2,785 feet of climbing. February we had 3,980. So this was about close to 500 feet less than February. In terms of major climbs, there were 5 major climbs on this ride. The first one was 233 feet of elevation gain over 1.43 miles with an average gradient of 3%. The second climb was 413 feet of elevation gain over 2.3 miles. Yes, you heard that right. We were climbing for a good solid 2.3 miles. But it only had an average gradient of 3%, although it did have some steep segments to it. The third major climb was 184 feet of elevation gain with over 0.87 miles with an average gradient of 4%. The fourth major climb was 203 feet of elevation gain over 0.76 miles, but it had an average gradient of 5%. This was actually the first climb that Teresa had some difficulty with. She did make it through the first 3 climbs without doing any walking. I'm very proud of her. She's coming a long way from when we started. We still have a little ways to go, but she's getting there. And the fifth major climb only had 154 feet of elevation gain, but it was only over 0.48 miles and had an average gradient of 6%. In terms of where we rode today, the entire ride was in the state of New Jersey. We started out in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. We rode through Paterson, Towaco, Wayne, Lincoln Park, Towaco, Montville, Taylortown, Boonton Township, Denville, Rockaway, Wharton, then back into Rockaway, back through Denville, and at that point was where we picked up Route 46, and we followed Route 46 through Mountain Lakes, Parsippany, Troy Hills, Pine Brook, Fairfield, and I think that was about where we got off of Route 46. And we rode through North Caldwell, Singac, Little Falls, Woodland Park, Paterson, and back into Fairlawn. A couple of interesting things along the way. At one point, we were going through Paterson on the way out. Now, Teresa and I had talked some time ago about possibly visiting the Great Falls in Paterson. I had never seen them. Well, at some point, we come to a light in Paterson, and Teresa says to me, "Did you see the falls?" And I said, "No. When would I have seen the falls?" And she said, "Well, you said you wanted to see the falls. We just rode past them." I never even noticed. And watching the video afterwards, I still didn't see them. So, I still have not seen the Great Falls. One of these days I'll see them. Also, during the ride, we did go past a steakhouse that looked really interesting. We're probably going to have to go have dinner there sometime. We also rode, when we were riding through Parsippany, Troy Hills, we rode past a bike shop called Cyclecraft. For those of you who are familiar with the area, maybe you know that shop. That shop has a special place in my heart. And the reason for that is that's where I bought my first road bike. And so that's where it all started for me. Anyway, that's all I have to say for now. So enjoy the music and enjoy the show. Mission accomplished. That was certainly an interesting route. Anyway, the bike rode great and we had a good time. So until next time, stay safe out there.